Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our YouTube channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine. As you can see, Kisumu is also fantastic. And maybe you could also let me know where you are watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, I've always opined on this platform severally that in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence, and that everything in politics is normally well planned, well scripted, and executed to achieve a specific political objective. Nothing in politics just happens for the sake of it. Earlier this week, Kenyan Chege was on Inoro TV for some interview, and Kenyan Chege shocked the country with the kind of allegations he was leveling against William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza government. Kenyan Chege was one of the close associates of the former President Uhuru Kenyatta when William Ruto led his brigades out of Jubilee Party. And then after the election, Kenyan Chege was nominated to the East African Legislative Assembly. Of course, Rigathi Gachagua played some roles in ensuring that he won that seat. Then Kenyan Chege started leaning towards Kenya Kwanza government. And within no time, Kenyan Chege teamed up with Sabina Chege and engineered, with the help of William Samoei Arap Ruto, hostile takeover of Jubilee Party from Uhuru Kenyatta. I think the matter is still in court, so far they have not really succeeded. And on that particular day during the Inoro interview, Kenyan Chege shocked the country by alleging the following. Number one, that William Samoei Arap Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, actually lied to Kenyans on the cost of living. And he actually asked William Ruto to apologize to Kenyans. Now, this is someone who was working very closely with Ruto, coming from nowhere to allege that William Ruto actually lied to Kenyans on the cost of living. And he also added that the handshake between Raila and Uhuru and the war in Ukraine and Russia had no effect at all on the state of the economy of the Republic of Kenya. Again, that was in contrast to William Ruto's take on the matter. William Ruto has always alleged that the handshake is what caused the problems we are facing in the country today. And of late, he's been saying that the war in Ukraine and Russia is what caused the high cost of fuel. So Kenyan Chege was actually telling William Ruto off. And Kenyan Chege is also adding that the cost of living is currently worse in Kenya than in any other part of the country. Basically saying that the economy of the Republic of Kenya is worse than the economy of any other country around the border, that is Uganda, Tanzania, which is true. And what shocked most Kenyans the most is the claim that the handshake between Ruto and Raila already took place. But the only difference between that handshake and the 2018 handshake between Uhuru and Raila was that the one between Uhuru and Raila was in broad daylight and photos were taken. While the one for Ruto and Raila, it took place at night and no photo was taken. And when Kenyan Chege made those allegations, personally, I knew that something was about to happen. And today, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Masika Wetangula, Papa Warama, finally made his ruling on the subject of the Minority Deputy Whip in the National Assembly. Sabina Chege was nominated or was appointed as the Minority Deputy Whip immediately after the last election. Then, after that hostile takeover of Jubilee Party, the one I was talking about, of course, he started working with government. And it became impossible, even legally and constitutionally, for Sabina Chege to whip Azimio MPs. So which meant Sabina Chege then crossed the floor. But Sabina Chege has been serving in that capacity because she was being protected. The ruling today is significant Because that ruling has a lot of meaning. And that's what I want us to do. I want to analyze to you guys, and I want to reveal to you guys in this explosive analysis. But before we proceed, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. But before we dive in, let me also take this opportunity to thank the following people. You are seeing their names on the screen there for the support and the coffee which I received from them earlier. I want to say thank you so much, because it goes a long way in supporting this channel. You can also do the same using those numbers you are seeing on your screen. Ladies and gentlemen, let us listen in to Moses Masika Wetangula making that ruling.
Honorable members, the Speaker will not shy away from the reality that two factions of the Jubilee Party are tearing each other apart and are unfairly dragging the Speaker into their wars of supremacy. However, to the extent that both factions collectively and separately have a stake in the conduct of parliamentary business, I'm inclined to exercise the powers conferred upon me by Standing Order Number 1 to facilitate the continuity of the business of the House until such a time as the competent authorities make a final determination with regard to the disputes relating to the affairs of the Jubilee Party. In summary, honorable members, I guide the House as follows: that there currently exists no bar against the decision made by the minority party to replace its deputy whip. Standing Order 20A5 requires the Speaker to convey a decision to replace a whip to the House. In this regard, the Honorable Mark Mwenje MP forthwith replaces Sabina Chege MP as the deputy whip of the minority party. That to give effect the provisions of Article 36 of the Constitution on freedom of association and Article 38 of the Constitution on political rights, which confer upon each member of the House the right to determine which entities they wish to be associated with and right to make political choices. Order: the Jubilee Party is hereby recognized as a parliamentary party within the meaning of Standing Order 20A. This recognition does not in any way elevate it to or affect the status given to the majority party and the minority party by the Constitution and the standing orders. That consequently, the Honorable Sabina Chege, by virtue of the written support of 21 members out of 28 members of the Jubilee Party in the House, in the letter dated 13th June 2023, and on account of her having been the last officially recognized member of the Jubilee Party, forming part of the leadership, is allowed to perform in the interim the role of the whip of that party in the House. That the foregoing guidance is issued in the interim purely for purposes of facilitating the continuation of the business of the House until such time as the Speaker will be properly seized of the final determination of the matters relating to the Jubilee Party by the competent authorities. The House is accordingly guided.
Now, that's Moses Masika Wetangula making the ruling. And from my understanding, the ruling made it very clear that Azimio had a right, or has a right, to choose the whip. But Jubilee Party is also being recognized as a parliamentary party, which means Jubilee Party can now go and work with Kenya Kwanza on the other side as a parliamentary party. But I want us to look at the political implication, why that ruling was made today. Number one, if you ask me, I'm 100% convinced that the removal of Sabina Chege from the Deputy Minority Whip in the National Assembly is part of the implementation of the bipartisan talks between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza that is currently happening at the Bomas of Kenya. One of the demands that Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Alliance actually placed on the table was on the issue of political interference with political parties. William Ruto just came, entered into some agreement with the individual political parties, with individual members of parliament, and they crossed over to Kenya Kwanza. As if that was not enough, because that's their right, they can do that. Then he was still supporting Sabina Chege on staying on the position of the Deputy Minority Whip. That was obvious. So the truth is, unless Sabina Chege is sleeping, unless Kanini Kega is also sleeping, the truth of the matter is that the implementation of part of the recommendations of the bipartisan talks is already being witnessed. And that's why I began this video by bringing in the story of Kanini Kega. Kanini Kega alleged that a handshake had already taken place between Ruto and Raila. So if the handshake took place the way Kanini Kega is suggesting, then he should be convinced now than ever that Sabina Chege is being removed as part of the implementation of that bipartisan talks. So that's number one. Number two, if you ask me, I also read Rigathi Gachagwa's factor in the removal of Sabina Chege from that position. There is a fallout between William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. And that fallout is still being hidden. But it's going to come out very soon. It's just a matter of time. And why do I bring in the Rigathi Gachagua factor? Who was behind Kanini Kega and Rigathi Gachagua? Kanini Kega and Sabina Chege group. Of course, initially William Ruto was part of it. Then at some point, it was alleged that Rigathi Gachagua was able to run away with it. Why? Politically, William Ruto cannot allow another political party to actually emerge in Mount Kenya. So whatever William Ruto was trying to do to take over Jubilee from Uhuru Kenyatta was going to work to the advantage of Rigathi Gachagua, because Jubilee was going to go down there as another political party. So to stop Rigathi Gachagua, because Ruto was viewing Jubilee as a kind of fallback party for Rigathi Gachagua, that Rigathi Gachagua was planning to strengthen Jubilee from outside. Then in case there's a fallout, then he can easily make a comeback to Jubilee Party. So to stop that, Ruto, being a wise man, for those who know the meaning of wise man, decided to stop those. So Kanini Kega is next. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. Number three, if you ask me, I'm also convinced that William Ruto had serious political interest in Jubilee Party. The first one was to revenge on Uhuru Kenyatta. Of course, he made it very clear that Uhuru Kenyatta took his party and handed over to Raila. And the moment he became president, he didn't see any reason why they were now complaining when he was taking back his party. So that was one of the reasons. The second reason why William Ruto wanted that Jubilee Party was the game of numbers. The truth of the matter is that in parliament today, if you are in a developed country where rules are respected, the minority party ought to have been Azimio. If you count the number of Azimio elected members of parliament, they were 162. Jubilee, I think, had 159. That there was a difference of either 4 or 5 MPs. So William Ruto began by drawing to his side the independent MPs. Then after that, he targeted that party from the northern Kenya. Then now Jubilee. So which means in parliament today, perceptually, William Ruto has the numbers. Of course, because he's the president, he's able now to attract other political parties. He's even attracted some ODM members of parliament to his side. But what is the relevance of Jubilee Party right now to Uhuru Kenyatta? To William Ruto? I think William Ruto has sat down and has figured out that based on the current political circumstances, there is no value that Jubilee as a political party is adding to him. So rather have that party die natural death or let whatever is happening happen. if you ask me. Number 4, William Ruto, in the last election, had a clear game plan. And the game plan was simple: consolidate Mount Kenya and Rift Valley, then go outside there. But the political dynamic is changing very, very fast. And because of the changing political dynamics, there is, in my view, William Ruto no longer has that interest in Mount Kenya. There's lack of serious interest in Mount Kenya. And that's why you no longer see William Ruto going to Mount Kenya the way he used to do. Previously, when he was the DP, William Ruto would go to Mount Kenya like 8 times. Then the rest of the country 2 times. Go back to Mount Kenya 8 times. The rest of the country 2 times. Actually, William Ruto used to pray every Sunday somewhere in the mountain. So if you ask me, he no longer has interest in Mount Kenya. And therefore, Jubilee and all those other Mount Kenya-based political parties, no interest. So he's going to focus on developing his UDA party. And lastly, I think the growing rebellion in the mountain is also forcing Ruto to pull back. And that's why he has allowed Wetangula. Because this ruling was so simple. Why do you think Wetangula refused to effect these changes earlier? Because he had not received instructions. Previously, you know, Sabina Chege would just sneak to some Kiambu court, get order, the same evening submit to Wetangula. Wetangula will delay, you know. But right now, Wetangula has made a ruling. What has changed? What has changed? It's because there's a growing rebellion against Kenya Kwanza government in Mount Kenya. And the popularity of Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the owner of Jubilee Party, is coming up. So if you take that party, if you are seen to be fighting Uhuru Kenyatta's party, then you add some salt to that injury. So Ruto doesn't want to involve himself in those kind of wars as we speak. I don't know what you think, but that's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.